Hey guys, welcome to another video of mapping out different rental areas of a city. Today we're going to be covering Sarnia. So Sarnia is located right over Windsor. It's a 3-hour drive from downtown Toronto. It is a border town to the US. It has a population of about 72,000 people according to the 2016 census. The 2011 census, however, said that there were about 73,000 people. So there has, from 2011 to 2016, there was 1,000 people population reduction. The average household income of Sarnia is about $87,000, while the median is about $66,000. This data is from some research done in 2015. I'm going to post a link of it. And yeah, so we brought in a local expert, Sarah Arseneault, who knows a lot about the area. She's lived there almost all of her life. She was born and raised there. She works with a lot of investors. So yeah, she has a ton of knowledge, and she dropped a lot of gems during this video. Anyways, without further ado, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, today we will be mapping out Sarnia with the perspective of a real estate investor. With me, I have Sarah Arseneault. I hope I'm saying your last name right.
Yeah.
And she's a local realtor there and a local expert. Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. So as Shuayb, and I might have got that
Shuayb,
wrong as well.
Shuayb,
there we go. Mentioned. My name is Sarah Arseneault. I work with eXp Realty local. I grew up in Sarnia. I've lived here most of my life, besides going away to school and working in Toronto in the city. So I've seen Sarnia grow and prosper, and investors come in and out of the market. So yeah, I'm just here to share with you a little bit about my knowledge of Sarnia and hopefully help you guys learn a bit more about the investment opportunities.
Thank you. And thank you for being here.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Do you want to share the map that you prepared?
Perfect. Yes, I will. I think the first thing I always suggest, and it's not always possible, but if you are a first-time investor, especially, is I like to have my clients come down and at least see what Sarnia is and what it's about, instead of, blindly investing in a market. I do think it's important to at least see the areas in the market versus just kind of blind bidding. If you already have, like yourself, you have a few properties already, that might be different, but it depends on the individual, right? So, and if you're going to have management teams, or how you're going to use your investments.
Like, especially if you're a new investor, right? Like, you need to, you don't know if it's your first property period, then yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I have a lot of people that are from the Toronto area that are wanting to be investors, as they can't afford to buy their first home. So they're looking to build some equity. And it's great to talk on the phone, but you really need to get down and see what it's all about. And I can explain some of my own knowledge about the Tenancy Act and things like that to really see, because as you know, it's not for everyone, right?
100%.
So depending where you're from, just a little quick snapshot. So Sarnia is about 3 hours from Toronto. So it is a hike if you don't have a car and you need to get down here for tenants. As far as other places, nice drive. But as you get here, it's a beautiful area, as most of us is surrounded by water. So we have a lake at the top here, and then we have the St. Clair River, which runs down all the way, as you can see, down St. Clair Way, all the way to your Windsor. So Sarnia is a land border as well, just like Windsor would be. A lot of people mistaken thinking, though, that they are close, but they are not. So it's still about a 2-hour drive from Sarnia to Windsor.
Okay.
Yeah, it is quicker if the border was open and you could do it that way. It's about an hour and a half or so.
Okay.
But again, if we've learned anything in these COVID time, we can't guarantee those things, right?
For sure, 100%.
We really want to make sure that you know where we are.
You're investing. What? Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's kind of why people like to live here, I think, is really the water. It's great in the summertime for boating. As you go down up the lake, you get Grand Bend and the cottage country. So there's lots of great areas to visit and invest in. even besides Sarnia. And we're getting a lot of breweries and wineries up that belt as well. So within less than an hour, you have lots of destinations, orchards, amusement things to do outside.
Well, and do people take a boat up there or do they drive?
Like to go to Grand Bend area? Yeah. I mean, you could take a boat, but the drive would be a lot quicker. It's about an hour, I guess, from Sarnia to go up to Grand Bend. And then, you know, there's boat rentals or cottages or different things up there as well. So
right on.
Yeah. So that's kind of in a snapshot, Sarnia, but we can dive in more and look at Sarnia specifically because
Perfect.
And yeah, so let's have a look. So what would you like to know first?
Let's just the different rental areas. So can we start from the bottom one? I see like this bottom left.
Yep.
That area.
So the south end.
Yep.
So first of all, just want to kind of say what is the rental market here. So it always was like a more blue collar town. Some of you might be aware, but Sarnia houses a lot of Chemical Valley, they used to call it, but you know, like plastic production, your Shells, your Imperial Oil, gas production, Enbridge isn't that far away. So there's lots of jobs where you're having tradespeople, and now we're getting a lot more engineers and things like that. So it is a very solid little town where the rental market is quite strong, especially with people coming out of town to work contract through the valley. So there is a strong demand for rentals, and usually when rentals go up, there is a long list of people applying for them if they are nice homes, nice unit, nice landlord. So it's a very strong market for that, as well as because we have a college and a hospital, so we get kind of all those areas of the market. So starting in the south end, this would be the closest to getting into your industrial areas, which are further down. So you have like commercial and industrial. And then before you get into your drive into the Indian reservation, so the native reservation, and getting further down into where all your industrial park would be with your Novas and your Shells and your Imperial. So the south end, I know you guys at Rise talk about A level, B level, C level.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I would say that would be a C level, or it always has been, because it is a lower end of town, or it always has been in the past. Now, as most of you would know, COVID has created a huge market. Month over month, we're seeing like 30% increases from last year this time in terms of values. Yeah. And the south end has not been left out. Why I believe this is happening is because these homes are often older, so they haven't been kept up. Sometimes maybe people didn't have the money, or they were rentals. So investors from out of town and locally are buying them and fixing them up. And because the prices in the rest of Sarnia have got expensive in terms of what people are used to, more and more first-time home buyers are finding themselves buying in that area.
What's the typical price range in this part of town?
So in the south end, it's really, I would say the average right now, you're going anywhere. I know there was one listed for 100,000 this week. Doesn't mean it's going to go for that, but you're ranging in the typical range, probably closer from the 180 mark to all the way up to the 320 mark, depending on how nice the home is.
180.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So it's still, you can still get homes there under 200,000. That's still possible, where it just needs some work. You can get it even lower than that if it needs a lot of work, right? So that would be the lower end of town. Now, in terms of rental values, it really does vary as well, but you're looking around the 1,000 to 1,300 mark.
For a detached house?
For a detached house, yeah. For a detached house.
Okay.
Now, 1,300 would definitely be the high end, but I ran across one the other week that the house was for sale, but they were paying 1,500. Now that's a rare situation. It is usually closer to the 1,000 mark, but it's been really hard because even in the last 3 years, we have seen the rental market and the prices just go up and up and up. Yeah. And people are paying them because that's the price, right?
And how many bedrooms are there typically in these homes?
It ranges between 2 to 4 bedrooms, I would say, in that end of town, because you have
2 to
a
4,
lot of
yeah.
the homes over there are your sided 2-story older homes, right? So you
Yeah.
have one of those, but then you have some smaller bungalows as well.
Okay.
A lot of homes are your 2 to 3 bedrooms in Sarnia in general, and then it goes bigger. There's very few 1-bedroom homes, and
Yeah.
very few apartments as well, just because the apartments that are in Sarnia, most of them are owned by a corporation, right? So
Yep.
it's not like condo buying. I mean, there are condos to buy, but it's really not strong in terms of rental market unless you are. So the condos that you could buy to rent out would be more in the downtown core,
Cool.
which is a great area as well, because you're close to kind of the art and the music and everything.
Mm.
But in terms of a lot of and most investors, because that's not a predominant part of the market, I just kind of left that out a little more than the rest of the detached and semi market.
Awesome. Okay.
So that is the south end. There's also, as you can see, a train station. So that would be your Via Rail. So, I mean, if you were an investor and you live in the city and don't drive, that is another option as well to get here. So
Awesome.
it does connect to bigger cities too.
Cool.
Besides that, so the next area I can talk about a little more is Cardiff Acres. So, or that's what it's called. So this is kind of the rough Cardiff area. Cardiff has a lot more townhouses. So a lot of people like that because the rental ability, right? So a lot of the townhouses in this area as well do not have, some don't have condo fees and some do. So as an investor, as you know, it is easier sometimes to get mortgages without the higher condo fees. So in that area is where you can find those townhomes, 3 bedrooms, typically 2 to 3 bedrooms without the condo fees. Now that being said, this area, I would still say some of it anyways is still the sea level, just because the homes, again, the renters from when they were renting, let's say 10 years ago or 5 years ago, are still there. So the rent is still low in the people that have tenants still. So oftentimes the homes, you know, it is still a lower area to live in.
Okay. Well, when we say sea, you're saying what kind of jobs are they doing, or
it depends. So I more say it's a sea in terms of the neighborhood. So in terms of the quality of the home. The
like building, the parks, the schools, that type of kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
Gotcha.
Because we're such a small city, it's less likely to say, well, most people that live in the south end are laborers, or people that live in the north end are doctors, right?
Yeah.
Like because people might be engineers or might work in the trades, and those jobs make great money as well. So we see a lot of intermingling throughout Sarnia. Now, definitely in these rental markets where Cardiff area is a lot of renters, let's say, they're definitely potentially having lower pay job, right? Because they're in that rental market.
Of course.
So another one in Cardiff as well is, besides just renters in terms of for a family home, there's also Lambton College right over here.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a big college, and they do have a lot of international students and people from the city who's looking to get into trades. They have a nursing program, they have safety programs, teaching programs. So they have a lot of programs. So we have a lot of students that need places to live. Lambton College does have a residence, but in comparison to what you're thinking of, like a university or a Seneca or these colleges, the residence is quite small, so it would never hold all their students.
Plus, school residence, I find, like, in every city is like super expensive, right? Like
it is. So it's more expensive. Their residence used to actually be a hotel, and they kind of retrofitted it. Over 10 years ago now, time flies. But that is, so especially a lot of the international students, I find personally, don't usually stay on the residence. They're looking for rooms to rent, because they are sometimes okay to rent rooms and share rooms as well with other people. Wow. So in this kind of L-shaped here, where it's Sherwood and Cardiff, a lot of people are also buying the townhomes or even detached homes, like smaller detached homes, side splits, things like that, in order to rent rooms.
Wow.
So
Cool.
it depends. I've also had investors where they buy units and rent a room in the basement and live upstairs. Like it really depends what kind of investor you are and what you're looking to do. But
Okay.
anything close to the college would be great if you want to do room rentals in that sense. So that's
So,
kind of what we see in the Cardiff and the Sherwood areas.
so for Cardiff, what are the typical townhome? What range does it go for in terms of price?
Now it depends where it would be in there because there are nicer ends of the townhomes and not.
Fair enough.
It would be around again similar to the south end, around that 1,000 to 1,300 point. Some might be a little less depending how rough they are or how much work they need, right? But in terms of
Okay.
investors, I would like to see it in the 1,000 to 1,300.
For
Maybe
the
more
rent.
depending on the side. Yeah, assuming that you're gonna fix it up, like make it so it's a nice home, right? So at least
Yep.
clean and livable. So I'd like to see it.
And is the price range similar to the industrial area as well? Around like you could get a cheap one for 180 and then
So this one, the townhomes, they do. So the typical townhome price I've seen in the Cardiff area lately has been a list point of 199 to about 230.
okay.
And I've seen them sell as high as 270, but more in that 230 range.
Like if you're a patient investor, then you could get it for like the low 200s, the mid to low.
I would say 230 is a good average as of the last few months. Anything lower than that, they're going to need a lot of work.
Okay. And
if you're okay with that as an investor, maybe cosmetic, maybe the roof needs done, windows, things like that. If you're okay with that, you might be able to get it on the lower end. But as many other small towns and places investors are looking right now in the seller's market, we're not really seeing those lower, even if they should go lower, they seem to be going for more just because of the market and where it's at.
I hear you. And when you rent these townhomes out by room, what does the typical room roughly go for?
It would again depends on the area, and I just always say I know
100%.
people rent them in illegal fashions as well, right? Like too many people per the home, and the city does want to work with people because we need these room rentals, right? Even sometimes room rentals are on Airbnb for these people that are coming in from out of town, right? For work in the plant. I'd say the average is around the $500 a month though for a full room.
Okay.
So I think that's pretty typical of a lot of towns for schooling.
Yeah.
I know some have probably went up, but even I remember going to school 15 years ago, it was around that 500 in bigger cities. So
yeah.
It's definitely coming up. It really depends though, because I've seen Airbnb as well, like people that are working from out of town, $75 a night, so it depends how you're doing it. Do you have a separate entrance to a basement? You could do an Airbnb legally, like work with the town.
And speaking of Airbnb, is it particularly strong in this area, or does Sarnia have a strong Airbnb market?
They do. Now, Sarnia has like a lot of towns put in laws around Airbnb and short-term rentals. So I highly suggest, I don't have the updated rules in front of me, but I'd highly suggest you looking into those. So if you are thinking about Airbnbs, like there is a small fee every year and you have to have kind of the fire department, I believe, come out and look. But there is Airbnb rules to try and control it and prevent people from renting out kind of unfit places. So it is something that you'd want to look into in the Sarnia. Places around like other towns don't always have those rules, but Sarnia has implemented it or trying to implement it. So that's something that I would say to touch base with the city of Sarnia or look into it with your realtor further and really find out how it's kind of been a toss up and a fight. So I'm not exactly sure where that has landed right at this moment, but
cool. But there's the overall demand for Airbnb.
There is the demand. Yeah, there is the demand. I know friends that I mean, it's a little different because they're investors, but they live in their homes and rent it out on Airbnb and always have people coming back because, again, of the hospital, so nurses, co-op students, and then you have the valley where if there's a shutdown for a plant, that might bring in hundreds of workers, right, from out of town, and they need a place to stay. So,
absolutely.
And then you have students where students could just be going for a few months and want, that room for rent. So there's different options, but that's kind of there's definitely a demand. Just make sure you do it in a legal and safe manner.
Of course. All right. I think I got a good understanding of Sherwood and Cardiff.
Yeah, Sherwood is also is very in demand for people moving there as well. So besides just students, the single family homes are also in demand.
Okay.
They're harder to price though in terms of investors. I'd say touch base with your realtor, or kind of really most of the rentals in Sarnia, I will say as well, are on Kijiji for a lot of the part. Unlike Toronto, where it's a lot of MLS and through realtors, a lot of the time in Sarnia, they are trying on the Kijijis and things first before taking it to realtors. So, I mean, I have done leases, people have done leases, but the predominant, if you're an investor and you kind of want to see what's available for rent and the prices, I would say go to your Kijiji or those sources as well as the MLS.
Yeah. And I have a question about Sherwood actually. Like, does Sherwood have townhomes, or are there more detached?
So they're townhomes. They do have townhomes, and a lot of their townhomes as well are very large. So you can even get into the 4 bedrooms. So their townhomes, they're more like semis. So they might just have 2, right, versus a row. So there's a lot of semis without garages in this area. So that's, again, first time buyers like it, and a lot of side splits. So this is predominantly, or was always, like kind of a first time buyers area. It's changing as those detached homes are now in the 400,000 range, which a year ago they might have been 330, you know, like a lot lower anyways than they are today, which we're seeing across Ontario for the most part. People also like it because along Confed here, there is a lot of chain restaurants. So you're getting into your Tim Hortons, your A&Ws, pizza joints, you know, McDonald's. So
all the healthy food there.
Oh yeah, all your Uber Eats where you don't have to leave the house but get it delivered, right?
For
so
sure.
It is more industrial on this end and commercial, but it's also easy to get to the valley if you are working, because the 40 would lead you right into those workplaces.
And the valley is the valley like where there's a lot of industries.
Yeah, so the industry, so the petrochemicals, your plastics, your crane operated, you know, like all the places that maybe tradespeople are going to work. That's an easy way.
The valley is like where a good chunk of people in Sarnia work.
Correct.
Right?
They employ a lot of people. It is a big employer.
It's like downtown Toronto for Toronto, right? Like everybody goes
kind of like
there.
your financial district, downtown Toronto, and it employs a lot of people, right? And it's kind
100%.
It's all concentrated, right? So the valley, it would be similar, all different employers, but they're all kind of doing similar things. They employ a lot of people.
That's a really cool name, the valley. It's like Silicon Valley.
We're just making all the goods at the gas and everything else that we do, right? It's making the Silicon Valley work, I guess.
All right. So
as we move up, it's getting into more midtown. So like in the central Sarnia, you do also have a lot of middle income homes, but you're also getting into a lot of rentals still, or investment properties, I'll say, just because in the long term, it is all where it's being more reasonable, right? And it's also close to things. So if people need to take a bus, it's close. So we have the Lambton Mall, which is the largest mall right here.
Wow.
So that's, I say, close for people. And then it's right close to the 402. You're also close to the downtown Sarnia, where all the shops are. But
Nice.
You're also able to be close to the hospital, right? So you're near the hospital as well, which is a great area to be around. So you're kind of central to all your Giant Tigers, your grocery stores, your restaurants. It's in a nice central location. Where again, if you don't have a car, you could still walk or ride the bus.
Is this where you would find a lot of young doctors, like kids who are becoming doctors, like people in the residencies, or like people who just became got their nursing license, or is this area have a lot of those people?
It could. I honestly don't know off the top of my head, but I think it's also people are more, like I said, spread out because Sarnia is not large. Like
That's
I know
true.
it's sometimes hard to understand when I've lived in Mississauga, I've lived in those areas where a 10-kilometer ride takes you 2.5 hours in traffic.
Basically.
Terrible. Made me want to come home. Love the city, but I could literally drive from, let's see, down here to way over here at prime time in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So, you know, like you're still, unless you're getting stuck behind lights, there's no reason why someone couldn't live anywhere if they have a car, right? Like even the bus system, it'll take you there. It might take longer, but it's a small enough town. You know, I think we're about 85,000 people or somewhere in there right now. It's small enough where you can live anywhere and still get to work.
I gotcha.
Now, if you were a nurse just working at the hospital and you wanted to be close because you're not from here, for sure, I could see people wanting to live close to where they're working, right? Because they're not aware of the areas or what it has to be about, right?
I hear you.
I could see that. But these, again, there's a lot of kind of wartime homes in this area. So they might be 2-3 bedroom homes, detached homes, but they've always been in a price point where people have bought them either to live in themselves or as investments. There are also in some of this area, and it could be extended a bit as well, but there are some of the semi-style homes. But for the most part, this area would be considered your central Sarnia, and you would be looking at townhomes or detached homes in this area as well.
Okay. And the price range for these homes are, what's the price range?
The price range, again, you do have some that are owned by corporations. So they, again, have went up a lot. But you're looking, I would say, in the $1,200 range would be the average.
Oh,
so that would be the average, yeah, for rent. You could definitely get more because, again, the market, we need rentals. So if they're not available and it's a nice clean home or it's fully updated, people are willing to pay more, right? Because all these prices are generally plus utilities. So that isn't all inclusive. So it's kind of that in-between area, especially if someone needs a home with a lot of bedrooms and doesn't have it. You definitely can get higher prices than, let's say, the South End. But you're still in that in-between area.
Okay. And
but your home prices are also in that in-between price range where you could be looking at, like, you're looking at more, but it could be the 300 to 360 range in this area.
Cool.
Depending on what you're looking for.
Gotcha.
Now, as we go up here, so Wiltshire Park. Wiltshire Park is a subdivision, and I might have highlighted too much. I was happy with this polygon. But anyways, Wiltshire is a subdivision. There's 2 entrances of it, and it's a really nice area to live in. It goes to great school districts. People want to be on the north end. So we call it North End when it's kind of past the 402. So to the north of the 402 would be really good areas. There's a really nice golf course over here. It's just really nice communities. There's St. Patrick's High School there. That's kind of further out. There's Alexander Mackenzie, which is more of a technical school, high school. There's Rosedale, but it's a really nice area.
Okay.
Now, these homes, you're looking definitely over the 400 point. Like, they are more. That's for the detached. But they also have townhomes. So the townhomes have went up a lot in this area. They're definitely over 300. Again, depending how nice they are, they could be even more. But they're definitely higher priced. But I know a few investors that have homes in this area and in the townhouse style. And they're renting for the $1,600 to $1,800 a month. Okay. So you're in the higher rent range. I feel in the last year with COVID, I know we were talking before as well, but rents have just like went astronomical. So even as I say this, another realtor or another person could say that's wrong for that area. You know, it's different.
It's going high.
It's going up, and it's really whatever someone's willing to pay. Like 100%. Before, I saw a attached home for sale in South End Sarnia, and if I tell any investor, I'm like, okay, be conservative. They used to be $700 a month down there, or, you know, years and years ago. So 5 years ago, now they're up. I would tell you be conservative, be around the $1,000, and they were getting $1,500 a month in the South End, and the people were ecstatic. They loved the townhome, they loved the area, they loved it. So I think that just goes to show it's really what someone's willing to pay in the area. But as an investor, always be conservative, right?
Yep. Especially if you have like nice finishes, like people will make that emotional decision sometimes, you know?
Oh, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, even if it isn't fully updated, is just clean. Like, make it clean. Make sure everything works,
100%.
White, updated tones that just boosts it, right? Even higher.
Gotcha.
And then as we get over here, this would be like the true north end. So this is like your A+ area. This is where homes, you're looking definitely more money. They go over $1 million in some of the areas, like for your bigger houses. So I'd say the average over here, you're looking at over 400 up to, if it was right on the water, 2 million, 2.5 million. So it's going to be a range, right?
This is your typical investor wouldn't buy and hold here, especially the new ones. Like they might do some construction projects and sell them off from thousands of dollars of profit. But typically you wouldn't want to buy and hold. Typically,
it would be harder at this point. Now, I think people would still have said that, 10 years ago, don't buy and hold, but it would have made the money now. I think in this end, you need to get a good price. Like I know an investor that it was north end, so it's kind of on the edge of this area. And they got a bungalow a few years ago, and they were able to get it for $300,000. It needed a lot of cosmetic updates, so they did that. But now they're renting it out for around the $2,200 a month plus utilities, because someone really wanted to be in that area and that end. Now, at this point in time, that's way harder to get, right? Like even homes are going for 400 in this area that need a lot of work. So I think, and again, as an investor, the typical investor might not go there, but if the market turned, or if there's a really good fixer-upper or something that's satisfied, this is a great end to be in terms of rentability. This would be if, an engineer comes to town or, has a contract for a year or two and wants to be in a great end for their kids. This is where they want to live. Okay. There's some homes in this end that rent out for $4,000 a month, like for the higher end homes. But for your typical investor, it's probably not where you want to be, because not everyone's knocking on your door for a $4,000 a month home, right? Yeah. So it could be harder to kind of flip or get someone into. But if you're able to get something at a really good deal, or if you're the investor that likes to go and reno and the numbers work, I just wanted to kind of bring that area up because that's a great place to be. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. This is great. I think I learned a ton of stuff on Sarnia, and thank you so much, Sarah. If people want to reach you, what's the best way to contact you? Yeah, so you can reach out. I think I am in the Rise group now, or you can reach out to me. So my social media, my business page is just She Will Sell It, and you can find that on Instagram, on Facebook. My phone number is 5. Yeah, I'll tell you my phone number if anyone didn't get that. So it's 519-328-1467. You can reach out, text me there. But I'll put it all down. Put it all in there. Yeah. Yeah. But I think social media is probably the easiest, just because I then have your kind of contact and I can reach back out to you. But if you need any help, or you just have questions, reach out and I'm happy to answer. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Welcome. You're welcome. Please subscribe. That way you can get a notification when we release more videos. And if you like the video, just like it on YouTube, Anyways, thank you so much for watching it. Take care.